Let's take a look at 3 maps which have all been updated for different reasons. Workout just got its first changes since 2014. There were bugs that went unnoticed back then, but the CSGO community in 2019 is bigger and more critical. Stuff like stuck spots and ridiculous 3-man 360 pixel walk boosts have become a hobby for some, and under today's scrutiny, Workout has been deemed flawed. The major change was to a one-way stuck spot, where you could boost over this wall and get stuck down the other side. Utterly pointless to do it, but who said that bugs needed to give you an advantage? The car was also rotated around, something I saw repeated across the map. Maybe this was done to keep them out of the way. You'll still be able to lose weapons behind them though. The shower near T-spawn has been brightened up. This was mentioned in the patch notes. And the whole map has been rendered with different settings to light the props up more accurately. This can be seen everywhere, but I do think is most noticeable in the court, where the larger props now have shadows accurately cast across them, instead of being completely dark. The crayons that were scattered across the floor have been tidied up, though I'm unsure as to why this was needed. The clipping on this wall was moved out a bit, though I had no problems with how it was before. You couldn't jump up onto it or get stuck on the sticky out bits. You can still slide up the side of this pommel horse, but stuff has been added to the top of it so you won't see over. You'll still be able to toss weapons between them, and they will still get stuck. I feel the maker of this map, Skybex, deliberately chose to keep weapon stuck spots. As it's a hostage map, it's not like it's as important as bomb stuck spots are in Defuse. If you don't want to lose your weapons down the backs of things, then you shouldn't be dropping them there in the first place. So that's Workout, the map that's had the fewest changes of the 3. Next is Sirocco, which has been updated twice since I last covered it. The first addressed all sorts of bugs. I did a video a few weeks ago showing dozens of these, and it looks like the devs took it to heart since many of these have been fixed. I won't go through all of the changes, only the most interesting ones. A rock has been added here to cover up the gap that you could previously get stuck in. The house of horrible wooden beams has been cleared out, meaning you can't get stuck in the corner of it anymore if entering through the broken roof. Where plants used to poke through walls, they've now been moved further away to stop this glaring game-breaking bug from occurring. There was a pixel walk along this wall, and it looked rather half-finished. I was surprised to discover that they didn't fix the pixel walk bit. They just chose to make it look nicer by hiding the joins with props. They left the gap between the rocks that lets you see up from this passage through to the cliff above, and they also left the rocks sticking through the walls in the underground parts, confirming that it's a feature, and not a bug. They fixed most of the horrible problems with the Batman hole too, like where the props didn't connect properly, or where you could see the sky through the wall, but they still haven't clipped the lowest flight of stairs. You can see that they've tried. They've added a rubble displacement to it to try and smooth out movement, but this doesn't extend all the way across, meaning that if you're running along the edge here, then you'll still get stuck on every step. Valve please fix. And these towers are still the same old models, and will still let you pixel walk along numerous parts of them. But apart from that, they seem to have fixed the rest of the things covered in my older video. Then, last week, the map received yet another update. This was a bit more vague, fixing a stuck spot and some clippings to doors and windows. While I found the clipping things fairly quickly, some have been added, like to these stairs, and others have changed from purple to red, meaning that they've gone from clipping just the player to behaving like a wall that will block almost anything. The stuck spot was more difficult to find. I'm still not sure I have, but I did notice that this roof shifted across. Before, you could run across bits that you might have felt you should have fallen through, and other bits would let you fall through and take some damage, and from this corner you could land on the window frame and shimmy across. So not a stuck spot, but a little awkward. And this crate at the ships has been shifted across a bit. Make of that what you will. That brings us up to date with Sirocco's changes. And the last map is Ruby, and it's received the biggest changes ever? To the point where most of my comparison shots don't work because the spots no longer exist, or have been moved so far it no longer makes sense to try and compare them. Other parts have changed so much that it's hard to recognise that they're the same locations. To say this map has had an overhaul is putting it lightly. It's no longer the same map. Whatever you thought about the map before, you can forget it. It's like a new map. It might as well be called Amber now. I spoke with its maker, Catfood, about it. He said he cut a lot of the less important areas, and tried to make rotations easier. He also added a few boosts to reward team play, like this one which requires 2 people to pull off. The radar shows it well. Many areas have been streamlined and simplified, so there aren't quite so many corners to hide behind or to get lost in. And the map now acts like 2 rings, one around the outside and one in the middle. It's still more complex than your average map, but in a world where people have tired of the standard Dust 2 layout, perhaps that's not such a bad thing. So Workout has been given some bug fixes to bring it up to 2019 standards. Sirocco is responding to the barrage of small bugs that a map of its size starts off with.
This is real life.
And Ruby is so different it's best to wipe your mind and to jump into it like it's a brand new map. Enjoy.